So yesterday we talked about congruent triangles, and we started talking about the patterns. There are 5 patterns, 5 ways to prove triangles congruent. Yesterday we did the 3 postulates. Today we're going to look at the last 2, which are theorems, which simply means that these were proven using the combination or the postulates that we talked about yesterday. All right, so the 4th pattern is angle, angle, side. Now, yesterday we had a pattern that had 2 angles in it, but remember the S was in the middle. All right, so that kind of tells you the placement of things. So you're still going to have 2 angle pairs. So let's mark those on our picture. But this time the side is the non-included side. So it has to be one of these 2 out here. It doesn't matter which one. It just cannot be the one that's included. That would give us a different pattern. So there's your angle, angle, side. And of course, this would be theorem. So you would put the little THM after you write the name. The 5th and final one is HL, which stands for hypotenuse leg. Now, obviously, in order to have a hypotenuse, you must have a right triangle, must be. Okay, so let's go ahead and mark the box to show where those right angles are. So the other 2 parts is going to be the hypotenuse, which is the side across from the right angle, and then one of the other legs. Doesn't matter which one, so I'm just going to mark that. So how do we know that it's a hypotenuse leg pattern? Well, the first thing you're going to do is start with the S's and A's. So when you look at this, you should say, okay, there's 2 sides marked, and then the angle is not the one, though, that's between or included. It's not included, so we would put it at the end. Well, that's a bad word spelled backwards. Well, yesterday I told you that's not a good pattern, and it's not unless it's a right triangle. Because if you get that pattern and you have a right triangle, then we're going to switch it and write HL theorem. If it's not a right triangle and you get side-side angle, then you cross it out and write not congruent like we did yesterday. Okay, it must be a right triangle to switch to hypotenuse leg. All right, so real quick, some reminders. Not all right triangles, though, are going to be congruent by hypotenuse leg. You have to look at the sides and the angles and the S's and A's, because it might just end up being a normal old side angle side pattern or angle side angle pattern. It doesn't have to be HL simply because it's a right triangle. All right, so as I just said, always start with the S's and A's to get the correct pattern. Only the side-side angle pattern in a right triangle is going to switch. All right, and of course, there's got to be a valid congruence pattern in order to say the triangles are congruent. And you had plenty of examples yesterday where we said they're not because we did not have a valid pattern. All right, so a lot of the work that you're doing today is not just these 2, but it goes back and it mixes all 5 of them together. Now, I'm going to go ahead and give you the notes here on the bottom, and these go more with the practice on Monday. But since today's notes were short and sweet, we'll go ahead and finish them out. All right, so this says we're going to state 1 or more conclusions that we can draw from the given information, and then give a reason for each conclusion. If we were actually doing proofs, every proof starts with a given. All right, this is where we start. So what you're going to do with this given information is you're going to mark your picture. All right, because if you don't mark the picture and you look, you're not going to know what the pattern is that we have. So let's mark side PA is congruent to QH. We've got angle EAP. So remember, the middle letter is your corner. So EAP is right here. And HQC is up there. So that's one angle pair. And then angle EP PA and angle QHC. All right, so once we mark, all right, our conclusion is that triangle, and I'll call this triangle PEA, is congruent to triangle. Now, when you write the conclusion, you've got to put the letters so they match up. So P goes with H, E doesn't have a marking, so that goes with the C, and A has the single, so that's going to go with the Q. All right? You may write your pattern different than what's on my answer key. I'm not going to give you every possible pattern, but what you need to pay attention to is how you wrote your first triangle is the second one matching up the same way mine would. Right? Now, what's the reason? Well, what's the pattern? That would be our reason. And if we look at the pattern, all right, we've got two angles and the side included. So it's a side, or sorry, angle, side angle, and that one is a postulate. Okay. Number two, we're given right triangles, AME and AER. Well, good. That means I'm going to have some right angles. Then I've got side AM congruent to side AR. And that's all I was given. So when I look at my picture, I only have two parts. So I need, hopefully, some of that free three-side information. So these share a side. So I'm going to mark it. All right, so I've got my three congruent parts. All right, so my conclusion would be, right, that triangle, and if I do MAE, then that would be congruent to triangle, and that would be RAE. Now, I hope I have a good pattern. So when I look, I've got two sides, and then the right angle is not included, so it would be out here. Well, as we just learned, that's not a good pattern. All right, but since they're right triangles, it switches to hypotenuse leg, and that's a theorem. Okay, so again, you're going to be doing problems like these on Monday, but now you already have the notes, so we won't need to take notes on Monday. All right, which will save you some time. Okay, so add these two patterns, angle, angle, side, hypotenuse leg, and that's what you're practicing today.